Hello, I am in my kitchen, as most of us are these days at our homes, and I just wanted to um, talk a little bit about some of the things that I have been doing to keep my family and my community and myself healthy. Being a teacher of a lot of herb classes, I just had one finish. Um, I get a lot of questions of, so what are you doing different these days? And honestly, I'm not doing a lot different because the household and the lifestyle that we've created is one based on health, and so we really just want to accentuate that. So I've been really, the main real points I've been focusing on are the 6 pillars of health. It's not about so much about how we can affect um, the actual viral infection as what can we do to strengthen ourselves and what can we use that is actually already in our homes. And for this, I really turn to the 6 pillars of health, and those are really just foundational things. And even though I love herbs, and that is a primary way that I work, primary vehicle that I work with, um, herbs can't replace any of these 6 pillars. So the 6 pillars include sleep, getting enough sleep. Remember, when we are sleeping, we are all of the energy that it takes for me to be, touching my head and talking and thinking, all of that energy gets turned off from our conscious mind and is able to go to things like building our immunity and helping our detoxification and basically helping to empower our bodies for the next day. So getting good amounts of sleep, and even if you don't necessarily sleep very well, give yourself the time, especially during this time of isolation, give yourself the time to even just lie there, to allow your body to just rest. Sleep and rest is so incredibly important to allow your body to have the extra energy. The next thing is hydration, which, wow, this one is so incredibly important. Hydration has to do with, number one, keeping our bodies hydrated, but it also has everything to do with our mucosal membranes. So when you think about your mucosal membranes, we're thinking about our nose, our nostrils, our sinuses, our mouth, our throat, our lungs, going into our GI tract. These mucosal membranes need to remain moist, not dripping, but also not dry. And oftentimes, many infectious pathogens take advantage of dry membranes to be able to take over some of our cells and the mitochondrial replication of our DNA. So we can actually, a pathogen can actually utilize our own mitochondria to help it replicate and create an infection within us. And the more we can keep those mucosal membranes moist, the more we actually have layers of defense against pathogens taking advantage of a dry membrane. Furthermore, mucus and the coating aspect of it on our mucosal membranes plays multiple roles, not just keeping us hydrated, but also actually being a vehicle for our immunity to get to those areas. Meaning things like your white blood cells use that mucus, that mucosal lining, to be able to go to the area where the infection is trying to set up shop. So staying hydrated is so incredibly important, and I'm going to continue with this when we talk about steaming in just a moment. So far we have sleep and we have hydration. Next thing would be breathing. It sounds so ridiculously simple, and really all of these pillars of health are ridiculously simple. But the real key that we're talking about here is when we are filled with fear and anxiety, we tend to breathe more shallowly. And what this does is create a deficiency of oxygen. And remember, we need that oxygen exchange with the carbon dioxide on a regular basis. So when you're feeling really overwhelmed, as we all are at times, when you're feeling really like the other night, I was trying to explain how I was feeling, and the main way I could explain it was it just doesn't feel like my feet are touching the ground. I just feel really ungrounded. And so there's a lot of things to do for that. And the number one first thing is to focus on your breath. Focus on the parts of your body that you can always count on, that you can actually control and pay attention to. These two things are really your breath and your heart rate. And when you can focus in on them, Actually, one of the ways that I do this, because my mind likes to jump around, I'll focus on my breath, and then within a couple of seconds I'm thinking about something else. So actually counting, counting to 5 or 6 as I'm breathing, counting 5 or 6 in, and counting 5 or 6 out. Sometimes I will sing, and as I am singing, even if it's just in my head, I am focusing on my breath. So we've got sleep and hydration and breathing, nutrition. I think one of the overlooked things about nutrition is not just the nutritious foods that we're eating, because at this point most people realize that we do need to actually eat nutritious foods. We need nutrition for raw materials for our bodies to actually function efficiently. But the thing that's not talked about in relationship to nutrition is digestion. That you can have the most amazing diet, you can spend top dollar on organic everything, and yet if you're always eating when you're stressed out, your digestion is probably compromised, which means you're not breaking down food as efficiently into those raw materials, which means you're not necessarily absorbing all of those raw materials. So when it comes to nutrition, also remember we need to sit down, we need to chew our food well, on top of choosing good foods and eating when you are calm. Sit down and chew your food well, and this will help to allow your digestive system to be able to absorb more nutrition. Of course, as an herbalist, I would say use your bitters. Something as simple as taking a bite of a lemon peel can actually really help to stimulate your digestive system so that it's going to absorb more. Okay, so now we've got sleep and hydration and nutrition and breathing. The next one is exercise. Exercise is also just movement. The real key about exercise is the fact that our lymphatic system is the sewer system of our body. It is where potentially dangerous pathogens or excessive inflammation or dead pieces of white blood cells that were fighting an infection, all of these things need to go through the lymphatic system to be eliminated. So the only way the lymphatic system moves primarily is to move our bodies. So we want to move our bodies. This could be jumping, this could be going up and down the stairs if you're stuck at home, walking around your house numerous times, maybe jogging occasionally. If you feel up to it, you could do squats. Really, it's any weight-bearing exercise is going to help pump your lymph system, and this is remember, your lymph system is part of your immune system. So keeping that lymph system moving is part of the way of keeping your immune system functioning. Okay, repetition is the key to mastery. So we have sleep, we have hydration, we have breath, we have nutrition and digestion, we have exercise, and the sixth is community, family, love. We are communal people. We need the support of our communities. It's so incredibly vital that we turn to each other right now and we remind each other of how we are community and not just wanting to point the finger and blaming. All of these things just encourage the breeding of dissatisfaction and the breeding of people wanting to hoard things. When we come together as a community, we don't generally need to hoard because everybody has abundance of something. I've got a few citrus trees, and citrus is a great source of vitamin C and bioflavonoids, and I absolutely am open to sharing my citrus. Everybody has something that they can share and be helpful with. Okay, so community. Now, I wanted to just do a little bit more, and that is on one of the easiest things that you can do at home to help with that aspect of hydration that I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit more about. So, remember, moist mucosal membranes, and part of the way that we can do that is to have a humidifier. But you don't have to go out and buy, an expensive product, which usually is made of plastic. The old school way of making a humidifier is to just have a pot of boiling water. And so that pot of boiling water on the stove is releasing air vapor, releasing steam into your environment. I cannot stress enough how incredibly important steam is. Steam has the ability to penetrate, similar to something like smoke. We're talking about things that are vapor, that are lighter than air. that move through air. So steam actually penetrates all throughout the house. And that is a really wonderful thing. You can also, of course, steam, just breathing in the steam. Close your eyes. Be careful that you're not going to burn any mucosal membranes. You can just breathe in steam, and it actually penetrates into the sinuses. It penetrates into the lungs. It helps to keep everything hydrated. It is so incredibly important to keep things hydrated. To take it a step further, you can put wonderfully aromatic plants into your steam. So I'm going to do that right now. What plants, you ask? Well, the easiest answer to that is, what do you have available? People can always talk about what plants are antiviral, what plants are antibacterial, what plants are antifungal. But really, what do you have around you? What do you have to help to have aromatics going into the air? And there is a lot. We had one lavender bush when we first moved into this house, and over the years we have 6 large lavender bushes, and we didn't plant any of them. The one actually just created multiple. We also have a large rosemary plant that's been on the property. I have harvested no less than 3,000 stems from this rosemary plant, and yet it just keeps coming back really voraciously, which is absolutely wonderful. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I just harvested some rosemary. You can see it right here. Oh, it is so lovely. Oopsie. And then over here, I've got my large pot. It's just a stock pot. Sorry, I'm trying to get the right angle. Hi. All right. So I've got my rosemary. I'm going to drop, I could drop the whole thing. These are really, really fresh. And actually, these are really bendable. And oh man, I don't even have to put it to my nose to smell it. It's absolutely wonderful. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop some of these in, especially the ones that have the softest stems. Oh, look at that nice green color. And already I am experiencing some of this wonderful aromatic nature. Now, oh, that feels so good. If you want to get really focused on it, you put a towel over your head so you can really concentrate that steam and those aromatics. But even just this, oh, it feels really good. You can feel it actually penetrating into your lungs. Oh, that's really nice. I'm actually just going to let this sit. This is also making tea, so in a little bit I'll just dip my cup in and I can drink a little rosemary tea. Rosemary is absolutely wonderful. It is a lovely immune herb. It's a circulatory stimulant, so great for moving blood flow. It's a liver supportive herb. It is a respiratory supportive herb. It's a brain supportive herb and a nervous system supportive herb. So, and I have a large bush of it, so. And the more I harvest from it, and then it just rained, and then so much of it just grows right back. So, yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things about rosemary. I'm probably going to go out and grab a little bit of lavender now, because rosemary and lavender are really, really nice together. Lavender is actually quite a wonderful immune herb as well. Has a strong affinity for the digestive tract, for the lungs, and for the central nervous system and the brain. Both of these have aromatics that cross the blood-brain barrier into the central nervous system, which is a wonderful thing. There's a reason why we work with big pots of boiling water. There is so much that we can do with this. I could also take some of this later on. I'll dip another pot, grab some, and I'll go add some of this to a bath when I take it later. And it's just adding more of this wonderful rosemary aromatics and nice circulatory stimulant and boosting my immune system. And so, pot of boiling water. And what herbs do you have around you? Make sure that you are using herbs that are safe. So the easiest way to think about this, if you don't know about herbs, use culinary herbs. Most people have a culinary cabinet, have some place that they keep their culinary spices. Remember, food is medicine, and we can use it as such. So use your culinary herbs. you don't have anything growing around you, I would throw thyme, oregano, basil, rosemary, cumin, you know, so many, coriander, clove. There are just so much, cinnamon. There are so many wonderful herbs from your culinary cabinet that can go into a pot of boiling water. It can be the base of a soup stock for later. It can go into your bath. You can steam with it. There's just so many wonderful things. So comment. Please feel free to share. Don't forget, Sage Country Herbs has a live, ooh, that's hot, has a live live classes, and which are on hold right now, online classes. We are getting ready to launch our online learning platform. Head over to Sage Country Herbs, and we have a Facebook group that is specific for our live and online learning, and we're going to be putting out a lot. We're launching in April. We've got some fantastic classes that we've actually been working on for a couple of years, and then I've got a ton of classes that we'll be putting out over the next 5-10 years, and these classes are all about empowering people to be able to know how to deal with, well, things like we're dealing with right now. What happens when the world goes into a pandemic? How can you keep your family healthy? How can you keep you healthy? How can you keep your community healthy? We all need to pull together in this, and we all need to help each other. And this information, herbs are medicine for the people. People have been using herbs for thousands of years. Literally, as long as people have been on the planet, they've been working with plant medicine. Use what you have available to you, and check back again. I'll see you again. Please comment. I'd love to engage in some of these conversations. Like, what are you doing to help keep your family safe? All right. Much love to everyone.